NeoWin. Today we're unboxing the Dell XPS 13. Now this is the new model. It has 8th generation Core i7 processor. Now that's the i7 8550U. Okay, so if you're not familiar with the new 8th gen processors, they're quad core now. So previously, if you bought a laptop or Ultrabook or anything like that, it was if it had a U series chip, it was dual core, right? Unless you bought like a gaming laptop or like an XPS 15, that was an H series, which is quad core, high power. So the U series is still the low powered chip, but now it packs a lot more of a punch because it's quad core, especially for multitasking workflows, video editing, and games and stuff like that. Intel hasn't announced a lot of 8th gen chips. We've got I think there's still only 2 U series chips, an i5 and an i7. They announced the desktop chips. They haven't announced the H series, the T series, and stuff like that. So these are still early models. This is only going to be the second 8th gen PC that I've used. Okay, so we're going to unbox it, and the packaging is pretty much the same as when I opened up the XPS 15, which I just reviewed. And I'm actually curious to compare that H series processor to the U series and just benchmarks and stuff like that, because obviously the U series is still low power, so it's not going to be as powerful as the H series. But I see a lot of companies trying to draw a parallel there and kind of trying to say like, oh, it's quad core now, so it's just like a 15-inch MacBook Pro or a Dell XPS 15, which is not the case. Okay, so the packaging, we have the XPS 15 here, and a quick start guide. And that's all that's in this little box, all right? And it came in a bigger box, this little box, and it's the same packaging as like the XPS 15, and I've never seen another company do this, where the box inside the box doesn't have everything in it. So over here, we have a power cable, all right, which is going to connect to a power brick, as we can see. And here is that power brick, and that's the pin charging port that we're so familiar with on Dell machines. I'm not a fan of them, because what you'll find on this machine, and we'll start taking the plastic off. We'll just rip it off like a kid opening up a Christmas present. You know, I don't try to be nice about pulling this stuff off. So you can see there's that charging port right over here. Looks like it's already got a scratch on it. Having a little trouble focusing, but Thunderbolt 3 is right next to it, so I should be able to use that to charge as well. And I mean, I haven't. It's almost always the case. So a lot of these laptops coming out now have 2 separate charging solutions, and I'm a fan of that. By the way, over here, before we go back to the charging, we have an SD card slot, another USB Type A port. Okay, so I'm a big fan of having 2 charging solutions like that, because you might be upgrading from an old Dell XPS 13, and you might have a couple power cables for that lying around. So maybe you want one in your room, one in the living room, whatever, but you already have power cables for it. On the other hand, maybe you're a guy like me, and you have a ton of laptops, and you really just want one charger that can charge all of your devices, and that's USB Type-C, right? Because I have Lenovo's and HP's and Dell's. When I went to Ignite in Orlando in September, I brought 5 laptops with me. 4 of them used USB Type-C to charge, and the last one was a Surface. And it was really great to not have to bring 5 different chargers with me, because not all devices use that pin either, right? I mean, Lenovo doesn't. Lenovo has something that looks kind of like a USB Type A port, but it's not exactly the same size. And HP's pretty much all in on USB Type-C at this point. So we can see the keyboard here. Again, pretty much the same as the XPS 15, if you checked out my review on that in the unboxing. The keys feel a little more firm, just from playing with it right there. You can see we have the carbon fiber interior. The outside of the body is aluminum. Okay, and if we boot it up, we will see that it's a QHD Plus display, which is 3200 by $1,800. So there is a full HD model too if you want the additional battery life that comes with that. It's 16 gigs of 2133 megahertz RAM, 512 NVMe SSD, and so it should be a pretty powerful machine. Obviously, Intel HD graphics. So, I mean, in a thin ultrabook like this, all you're going to get is HD graphics. And it's just a laptop. It does have a touchscreen, but it is just a laptop. This is as far as the screen will fold back. And the reason for this, Dell does make a 2-in-1 version of the XPS 13. The only problem with it is that that's a Y series processor. Now we just went over the difference between the U series and the H series, but the Y series used to be called Core M, and they rebranded the i5 and the i7. Intel did, and now it's the i5 and the i7 Y series. So just because something says it's an i7 doesn't mean you're getting like a real i7, and so that's the thing that disappoints me about the XPS 13 2-in-1 is that it's very low powered and you're probably going to end up struggling with it if you get it. Okay, so this guy is setting up now. You can see we have Dell calls an Infinity Edge display, and that means the bezels are super slim on here. And that's all well and nice, but it does present a problem. You can see right down here is the front camera. So if you make a lot of Skype calls and stuff, I mean, even Dell knows that that's not the best placement for a camera, and it's not going to make for the best recording experience. Okay, I've heard that they're going to add facial recognition on a future model that they're probably going to announce at CES, which is in January. Right now, for Windows Hello, we have a fingerprint reader down here. And I found that the fingerprint reader works pretty well if it's the same one that's on the XPS 15. Now, obviously, this is newer. They just announced this like a month ago, along with some Inspiron PCs. So this thing is setting up. One thing that I found is that it does say in the reviewer's guide which software is included. And we can see that it includes McAfee Security, which is not fun. I think it's one of the worst pieces of software out there, and I often joke, what's the first thing you do when you get a new laptop? Do you install Chrome or do you uninstall McAfee? I really don't. I don't like it because obviously whenever you have a Win32 app and you uninstall it, it leaves stuff behind. So when you have this stuff installed on your PC out of the box, it's going to leave stuff behind even after you get rid of it. Office 2016 tools and Office 2016 is on there. You're not going to be able to use it unless you have an Office 365 subscription. You're going to need to activate it with a product key. But there's also Adobe converts PDFs to Word, Excel, or PowerPoint formats. There's Support Assist, which is actually pretty good. That's actually something that you're going to want because Support Assist is where you'll find the latest drivers and everything, BIOS updates. There's a Dropbox app. That's easily uninstalled, and that's really all I want. I'm not even a fan of having. I'm not even a big fan of having Office installed when I first set up a new PC because those apps are coming to the store soon, and when those store apps, they'll be easily uninstallable. You can see we do have to activate it, but store apps are easily uninstallable. Like there's a bunch of apps that will come through the store. They're not there yet. Like Microsoft Solitaire Collection is one of them. And those apps Microsoft puts on there, you're going to see Candy Crush Soda Saga show up, Bubble Witch Saga 3 or whatever it is. And you can just uninstall these by holding your finger right there, hitting uninstall, and it's that simple. So, I mean, I'm a big fan of Dell's XPS 13, its entire XPS line, because they're fantastic devices. The keyboard feels nice. I like the carbon fiber inside and the aluminum outside. All right, they're not cutting back on ports. There's a lot of devices out there now that have only USB Type-C, and that's not cool because obviously some of us still have peripherals that need a Type-A port. And that's it. I'll have more on this over the next few weeks, and I'll have a review. Anyway, guys, I'm Rich from Neo.